Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Fatz, and I'm here for a Fatz Chats with Natasha. Now, Natasha, you've gone through like a nice story, and I said I wanted to talk to you about it. Can you tell us a little about your story and why I brought you on here?
Yeah, about me becoming sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, sober for 3 years. Well, nearly 3 years, coming up to 3 years. And just drinking for a long time, drinking way too much, dependent on alcohol, and just needed to change. God knows where I'd be now if I hadn't. So it's literally, I believe, saved my life.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it like an overnight kind of, oh, I've got to this peak and that's it, I've got to stop tomorrow? Or was it gradually, I've got to cut back, I've got to stop slowly, I've got to see the right people, I've got to get the help?
I think, you know, there were times throughout my drinking. I started drinking when I was about 13.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of, you know, binge drinking with friends, and then it turned into, probably when I had my son, when I was 20, I kind of started drinking like a glass of wine a night, which turned into a bottle, which turned into 2, and then towards the end of my drinking, I had to have like 3 bottles of wine in my fridge. I'd literally panic if I didn't. So there were times, usually on a hangover, that I'd be like, that's it, I'm not drinking anymore. It would last maybe 1 or 2 days, and then I'd start drinking again. But this isn't the first time I went sober. I went sober before because I kind of shocked myself with my behaviour. So I'd had a real big weekend, done some things that were out of character for myself, put myself in danger. And I just couldn't sleep for like weeks after, so I shocked myself into, I'm not drinking anymore. And I hadn't come to terms with it.
Yeah.
So I felt angry that I couldn't drink. So I hadn't accepted it, and I kind of used to think to myself, why me?
Yeah.
Why can't I? Like, I used to see people with their Prosecco, and I'd be like, oh, I wish that was me. So after about 5 months, I relapsed, because I thought to myself, well, you've just gone 5 months without drinking. You're not an alcoholic. Like, an alcoholic couldn't do that. So I said, like, to myself and the people around me, I'm only going to drink like at special occasions, and I'll only have one, and I won't drink indoors. And literally, like that, I fell back into old habits. And it took me 7 months after that to get back to go sober, and then that's been it ever since. But that was a real gradual thing for me, and I had to really get it in my head. I thought about it for months before I actually stopped.
Do you got any advice for people who want to do this as well? Because I mean, I've personally suffered with alcohol and substance abuse for years. And I always sort of fool myself, and I'm like, yeah, I can handle it. I could just have one more drink, and then next thing you know, you're waking up, you've blacked out, you don't know what you've done. People have told you what you've done. You're like, well, shit, I've fucked up again. And you know, when people come to me now, they're like, oh, how have you changed? How have you got over it? I'm like, I just don't fuck about like I used to. Just don't give yourself that much temptation. Don't give yourself that much leeway. Don't follow other people. Have you ever found it like that you've got some advice to give somebody else in that situation? Because for me, it was kind of limiting the attachment to people, or the occasions where it's okay to get messy.
Yeah. It's really hard, because everybody, we're all different, of course, and everyone's kind of situations are different. For me, there's no like kind of just limiting it or anything. It's literally, it's all or nothing.
Yeah.
So I did have to distance myself from some people, and it wasn't because I didn't like or love them people, but I couldn't be around that. I had to really pull away from that, go into myself. Like I say, the second time really worked for me, because advice that I could give on my the way that I did it and have stuck to it is getting my head around it, not just thinking, right, tomorrow that's it, I'm not going to drink. I journaled, I wrote down, I researched as well. I read books, I joined like groups online, I followed sober pages on Instagram, looked at other people's journeys, and that really helped me. And like I said, I didn't stop the second time like that.
Yeah.
I really took it slow and managed to get my head around, right, and I chose a date and I said, this is it, that's the date that I'm going to do it, and then from that date, that was it. And I think that helped me. That
part that you just said, there's two points I want to pick up on. You said you followed people online, like sober pages, and you started journaling, you started feeding your mind the positivity, and I think a lot of people don't realise that good influence that you get can change your whole mindset, which shifts your life. So it is about who you follow, who you hang around with, who you talk to, you know,
definitely.
what you read.
Yeah.
And so many people don't take ownership of that, and they're like, nah, it's all right, nah, it's all right. I'm like, come on, if you're hanging around with 6 losers, you're going to be the 7th kind of thing, and following the wrong pages online can negatively influence you. So if you found changing what you see, what you feed yourself with, who you talk to, have you found that's changed your life more?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I think as well as kind of distancing myself from that, also so negative factors have kind of taken themselves away from me also.
Yeah.
So I found that that's just naturally, like, the positivity has gravitated towards me and negativity has kept away just naturally. I haven't even really had to work so much on that.
Yeah.
But I think the more positive you are, the more, you know, you're drawn to it and it's drawn to you. So just naturally, like, that has happened.
Is that like the law of attraction kind of?
Yeah.
And the second part, I mean, I definitely agree with that, but the second part I just picked up on, I've never heard somebody say it, is you said that you kept away from, not so much you didn't like the people, you didn't love the people, but you kept away from those situations. And I've never heard someone say they didn't like or love the people, they just kind of moved away from the people.
Yeah.
And I've said it for years, I'm like, I just fucked off a load of people who just used me for drinking drugs. But you've just stated you still like and love the people, you just took yourself away from the situations.
Yeah. Some people, not all of them, you know, like you said earlier. It's like, you know, I used to wake up sometimes and I wouldn't even know where I was or who I was with, and I'd end up in really bad situations. Again, drawn towards probably people that were doing the same things as me, because they're accepting of that. If I went to somebody who didn't drink and wasn't doing drugs and I was like that, I'm just going to get on it in front of you for like 2 days. They're going to, you know, they'll have something to say about it. But if I go around to someone's who's, you know, we're going to encourage each other.
Yeah.
But really, day-to-day life, that person probably wouldn't have been someone that I wouldn't go around there for a cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? Probably not a good person for me. But then, there are some people in my life that I did still really love and care about, but weren't in the same place that I was in, or going on the same journey that I was going on. Yeah. And so we just weren't probably like compatible or good for each other at that time. Yeah. But I can still have them in my life, and especially now that I'm very comfortable in my sobriety. I mean, I can go out and I can go into pubs now, or I can be around people that are drinking, and it really does not bother me at all. I feel very, very comfortable and confident in the person that I am and the journey that I'm on. I don't mind what other people were doing, but in the beginning I had to stay away from it, because it would have been so easy for me in the beginning to go, oh, fuck it. Yeah. The amount of times when I was coming out of all the madness, I'm like, fuck it, and then you wake up and like, I fucked up again. That feeling of dread. Yeah. Which causes kind of the mental health effects as well. And it's a circle. Yeah. It's a vicious circle. You feel like shit, you need a pick-me-up. You have the pick-me-up, you feel like shit, and it's just, it goes round and round. I think that was the biggest kind of get-out clause for me. Like, I'll just have one more messy night because it make me feel good. And the next thing you know, it's a few months down the line if you've repeated your life, and you're like, fuck. This is shit. You're just staying in the same position. You're not really moving anywhere, are you? I mean, if anything, backwards, because you're just repeating. And when I talk to young guys, so a lot of young guys, they'll contact me through the page, especially the ones that have seen me on the door. They'll be like, that's that thing that you said about mental health or guys suffering, that was really true, that's really nice. And I'm like, right, you're a young guy, and I know you're doing cocaine, and I know you're drinking every weekend or nearly every night. That there
is your issue. Like, you're hanging around with negative friends who encouraging drinking drugs, but they don't realise that the attachment to it is that negative thought. It is that kind of mindset. It is that mental health slip. And trying to get that out there to people is like, if you just stopped, or if you just slowed down on the drinking drugs and then looked at your friends, you'd see you haven't got much in common, which I think is really hard for a lot of people. Because we want to fit in. We're social creatures.
Yeah, and it's become it's so normalised now, and it's glamorised as well.
Yeah.
To drink, to take drugs, you know, to smoke, all of them things. Like, no one really, I think a lot of people actually, and they still do now, were shocked to hear me say, and I think it makes some people feel uncomfortable as well, to hear I'm an alcoholic and that's why I've stopped drinking, because no one, I don't think, really looked at me and thought she's an alcoholic. You know, you think of someone on the street drinking, you know, in the gutter. That's what you think. You don't look at necessarily, you know, someone like me and think that. And especially, I think, because there are so many people that are still probably doing the same things that I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I think if you admit that person has a problem, then you have to look inside yourself and think, maybe I do, and then you need to make a change, and all of that is hard. Yeah,
that's very hard for a lot of people to understand, that you can be a functioning alcoholic, you can still look after yourself, you can still look well groomed, you can still go about life, but you are still dependent. You get to the weekend and you do relapse every weekend. You get to the Monday like, no, I'm not doing it again, fuck this, I'm never drinking again, and then they relapse. And when they do accept like your change, it's hard for them, because then they'll look at their own flaws and be like, well, no, actually she's not, because I'm not. And then people get very bitter. I've noticed that from a lot of old friends. I'm not like that. I don't need alcohol. Like, bro, you're drinking every night. What are you telling me you don't need alcohol? And it's hard to, because people don't want to accept that. They don't want to accept that at all. And I think that's very hard for a lot of people, to see other people change for a better, but then they'll see a reflection in themselves that they don't want to accept. I
think that's the thing, like, fair enough, if you're drinking every night and it's not affecting you, it's not affecting your mental health, you know, you're still productive, and it's not like putting anything negative on your life, then fine, carry on. But you know, the moment that it is affecting your mental health, or it's affecting others around you, it's affecting your work and stuff like that, definitely that's when you've got a problem. Even if you're only having like a glass or a couple of glasses a night, if it's affecting you in a negative way and you're not stopping it, it's a problem.
Yeah, definitely. I tried to say that to a friend once, and he was like, I'm very content and happy. And that's when I kind of stepped back and I was like, he's got a point. If he's not affecting his work and he's not, who am I to judge? If they're content and happy, he's achieved a different level of success that I'm achieving, but he's still happy and he's still going about life. And it's not affecting him mentally, or, you know. And I was like, oh, that does make sense. Their life choices are up to them, and then as long as, like you say, it's not affecting anybody else, leave them to it, they're happy.
Yeah, exactly. I think, you know, so much with me as well was going on behind, you know, closed doors. So you project out to the world, you know, my social media and stuff like that. When people saw me, no one, I don't think, really truly knew how big the problem was. So again, that also may be why it was like a shock to other people.
I found with the drinking drugs use, it was kind of, I would suffer alone. And then it was kind of the negative dark thoughts, the kind of staying in bed, the not wanting to move, the depression, and really a darker thoughts of suicide and shit like that. And I was like, if anybody knew, then they wouldn't encourage this for me. And that's where I started slipping. And then you reflect, and when you change, you're like, I can save others. Bringing me to the point that you're now saving others, you're helping others. Can you tell me about PT for you?
PT True You.
True You, sorry. PT True You.
So when I got sober, I started walking a lot, and it really, really helped my mind, because I kind of realise now, when I look back, a lot of my drinking was to stop this tick, 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 these thoughts. And so the drink, like, numbed it, took it away. So when I stopped, obviously, they came back with a vengeance. So I started walking, getting out into nature, and it really, really helped me so much. Me and my friend Kat, we did a 100-mile walk over 3 days for charity. That was, I was a year sober, wasn't I? We did it to celebrate that. And then from there, I was just loving them kind of endorphins, and then I took up running and then exercise, and I just realised how important it was, not just for me and my journey, but for everybody. Like the link between your physical and your mental health.
Yeah.
Is like and so I thought, why not take this up? I had my 2 young children, because I'd been stuck with my alcoholism as well, and like I said to you earlier, you stay in this position, and I'd just been through like shit job, getting sacked, quitting for years, for years, and then I found this, and I was like, oh my god, I really love it. So I took a course, and I qualified last year. I've been doing it a year. Yeah, because we had the lockdown. So it was last year, qualified. We set up the business, me and my mum, in September, so we've been going just over a year, and then of course we had the lockdown, but we've been doing things online, and it's just really gone from like strength to strength, and doing really well, really love it. Like you said, helping other people, the link between the physical and the mental health, massive.
Like the young guys who contact me, and they always talk about, I can't get out of this circle, I can't do it. I'm like, just get outside, go for a run, you'll feel great after a workout, and you do. Even if you're feeling shitty and you don't want to go to the gym or you don't want to work out, once it's done, you feel so much better. You're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have complained so much at the beginning.
Oh, it's that natural high that it gives you, them endorphins. What I used to chase when I was having a line of Coke or like drinking a glass of wine.
Yeah.
And then now getting outside and what I'm doing now, it just feels so much better, and it's long lasting as well. It's not just a quick fix.
Yeah. Massively. And once you get into that routine as well, you're like, I go to the gym every day. You feel good every day, and when you feel good every day, you start seeing opportunities, you start seeing the good side of things. You become optimistic rather than pessimistic, and it just, the workouts alone, I think, is a big thing for just not substance abuse but mental health. So when they said open McDonald's but closed gyms, I was like, what are you guys doing during this lockdown? Like, you're seriously just making people suffer.
I've noticed though that there's so many people, it's really lovely, so many people outdoors working out and getting out, and like group classes, obviously not now, but when restrictions were lifted, like so many group classes, kids outside, and that was really lovely to see, actually.
That is good. It is good. So to wrap up, where can we find you online?
I haven't got a website yet. That's coming up. That's on the list. But I'm on Instagram, PT True You, and same on Facebook.
Beautiful. And we're going to have all the links down below. We're going to have something on screen, probably right next to Natasha, somewhere there. Thank you very much for coming on and
You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me.
In a bit.